We're counting down the greatest era of all time's best number one hitmakers. The greatest musicians with the most number one hits. And I want to know, do these songs bring you back to the year they hit number one on the charts? Do they remind you where you were living at the time, who you were dating, what job you had? Well, as we go along, let me know in the comments section which ones take you back. All right, hit it. Number 1, Kenny Rogers. Before streaming, there was Kenny Rogers. One voice, 24 number one hits, and songs that felt like life advice. The Gambler wasn't just catchy, it was gospel. Know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. You've heard that in poker games, breakups, and that time you finally told your boss to shove it. And that 24 count, it spans the Billboard country and adult contemporary charts, not just the Hot 100. Some lists go lower if you exclude duets or crossovers, but this number tells the real story.
He turned back toward the window, crushed out a cigarette.
Kenny Rogers owned the airwaves. We're talking Lucille, Coward of the County, Daytime Friends. Not just songs, we're talking short stories. Always a twist, usually a heartbreaker. And then came Lady, written by the great Lionel Richie. 6 weeks at number 1. Kenny, suddenly a romantic crooner, his voice smooth as bourbon. Then there's Islands in the Stream with Dolly. The Bee Gees wrote it, of course, and Kenny and Dolly, well, they owned it. No fake chemistry here, just pure charm and honest friendship.
In love with each other, Islands in the Stream.
It hit number 1 on pop, country, and adult contemporary. A once-in-a-lifetime duet, honestly. Kenny once said, quote, "I'm not a great singer, I'm a great storyteller." And that's what made him unstoppable. You trusted that voice. Every lyric felt like it came from someone who lived it. Oh, and yeah, he really did start a chicken chain too. Kenny Rogers Roasters. Because, hey, why not? The man fed America, musically and literally. Kenny Rogers, it was a pleasure meeting you that one time. Hope you're resting peacefully. Number 2, the Bee Gees. If music could sparkle, the Bee Gees made it shine. 9 number 1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, but that's just the songs they sang. And now you gotta add the hits they wrote for others. Grease for Frankie Valli, Emotion for Samantha Sang, nearly the entire Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, and their chart power nearly doubles. But here, we're counting the ones they owned on the mic, and what a run they had. Staying Alive, Night Fever, How Deep Is Your Love, these weren't just hits, they were cultural earthquakes. Tragedy made heartbreak sound like a disco inferno. Too Much Heaven floated in like a soft breeze wrapped in harmony. And here's a fact that sticks. Staying Alive is used in CPR training, 103 beats per minute, the perfect rhythm for saving a life. Only the Bee Gees could turn a dance groove into a literal heartbeat. Then there's Jive Talkin', strange, funky, fresh. The song nobody saw coming, and suddenly everyone was hooked. They didn't just dress like the 70s, they kinda were the 70s. Big voices, big feelings, and hooks you still hum in the grocery store.
We belong to you and me, I believe in you.
The Bee Gees didn't just top the charts, they rewrote the rhythm of a generation. Number 3, George Strait. 60. That's not a typo, you're hearing that right. George Strait has 60 number 1 hits to his name, more than any other artist in any genre ever. But before you start Googling, here's the breakdown. Most of those come from the Billboard Country chart, with a few more sprinkled in from other radio formats like Media Base and Radio and Records. So the exact number can shift depending on how you count simultaneous charts, but 60 is the most widely accepted figure, and it's impressive, yeah. It's more like the gold standard. And George earned every one of them without ever changing his sound, his style, or his steady-as-she-goes approach to fame.
You don't mind, could I talk you out of a lie?
You won't find pyrotechnics in a George Strait show. No costume changes, no viral stunts, just a man in a pressed button-down, standing center stage, letting the music do the talking. Songs like I Cross My Heart, Love Without End, Amen, and The Chair. They didn't scream, they spoke. They told stories of fathers and sons, cowboys and quiet romances, mornings on back roads and nights filled with old regrets. Amarillo by Morning remains the unofficial anthem of rodeo heartbreak, and Check Yes or No probably played at every country wedding from 1995 to, probably still today.
Well, then don't be afraid to take me by the hand.
What's even more impressive, George Strait is the only artist to have a top 10 hit every year for over 30 years. That's not just consistency, that's country immortality. And the guy never needed to chase a trend. While the world changed around him, George just kept strumming, singing, and showing up like a reliable friend with a six-pack and really good advice. Number 4, Van Halen. Van Halen didn't just top charts, they blew up the airwaves. 13 number 1 hits on Billboard's mainstream rock chart, just one on the Hot 100, which was Jump in 1984. But if you had your windows down and the stereo cranked, they sounded like they were number 1 everywhere. Jump was pure lightning, synths, swagger, Roth's wild vocals, and Eddie Van Halen's finger-tapping solo that made you want to do something reckless. Panama, it made speeding feel sacred. Hot for Teacher controlled chaos in 4/4 time. And when David Lee Roth left, Sammy Hagar stepped in, and boom, why can't this be love? Right Now, finish what you started. I mean, yeah, different vibe, but same power. And whether you were Team Roth or Team Hagar, one thing was clear, nobody brought the riffs like Van Halen.
You really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing.
Eddie didn't just play guitar, he rewired it. His solos didn't just shred, they sang. He gave air guitar its golden age and garage bands their blueprint. And their music videos, MTV gold. Goofy, loud, impossible to ignore. And a little bonus fact, Eddie played the solo on Michael Jackson's Beat It. No credit, no payment, just did it for the love of the riff. And even though this is about number 1 hits, Van Halen wasn't about chart stats, they were about volume.
Might as well jump. Go ahead and jump.
They didn't ask for permission, they plugged in, they turned it up, and they melted your face off. Number 5, Garth Brooks. You know you've made it when your name alone can sell out a stadium, and Garth Brooks did that again and again and again. With 10 number 1 hits on the Billboard Country Airplay chart and several more across various formats, his total can vary slightly depending on which chart you count. You'll see some achievements like 19 number 1 hits on hot country songs tied to his name. But those numbers really reflect his core strength, dominating country radio in a way no one had seen before. While pop radio never fully embraced him, he famously resisted releasing singles to mainstream formats. He did sell over 150 million records worldwide. That's not just country domination, that's a global cultural force. Garth brought energy to country that felt brand new in the early 90s. He would leap off risers, sprint across the stage, and deliver emotional ballads like The Dance with the same passion he brought to anthems like Friends in Low Places.
Glad I didn't know the way it all would end.
And that song alone became a national rally cry for bar crowds and wedding receptions alike. And If Tomorrow Never Comes, it's been the soundtrack to thousands of teary-eyed slow dances and late-night reflections. Garth Brooks had range. He could crack a joke, break your heart, and get the whole crowd singing in just one set list. And he famously created an alter ego, Chris Gaines, for a rock side project, confusing everyone but proving he wasn't afraid to experiment. He also took a break from music at his commercial peak to just raise his daughters, and then he came back like he never left.
Gonna be enough to last if tomorrow never comes.
Oh, and I'm talking about Garth Brooks now, not Chris Gaines. His live shows are legendary. And one interesting tidbit, he was inducted into both the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. A rare combo that proves he wasn't just a performer, but a craftsman. Number 6, the Eagles. The Eagles were the band you played when the party was winding down, or when life itself felt like a long desert road at sunset. With 5 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, their chart count might seem modest compared to others on this list, but make no mistake, their songs went deeper than their rankings ever could. These 5 chart toppers, like Best of My Love, One of These Nights, and the eternal Hotel California, became cornerstones of American music. Their success wasn't just about topping charts, it was about becoming part of the culture's DNA. Take Hotel California, a track so richly layered and mysterious it's been debated, covered, and analyzed more than most novels. The haunting guitar solo alone has been voted the greatest of all time in more than one poll. And New Kid in Town captured the bittersweet cost of fame, while Heartache Tonight proved they could bring the party when they wanted to. Their harmonies were tight, their lyrics thoughtful, and their vibe was a perfect mix of California cool and world-weary wisdom.
Beautiful faces and loud empty places.
Don Henley's voice had that sandpaper edge of experience, and Glenn Frey brought the charm and groove, but together they were unstoppable. Interesting fact, the Eagles' Greatest Hits 1971-75 is one of the best-selling albums of all time in the US, trading places with Thriller over the years. That's not just a stat, it's a testament to their staying power. Their music is still used in movies, quoted in conversation, and played on classic rock radio like it was released yesterday.
Someone to be kind to in between the dark and the light.
Number 7, ABBA. When ABBA hit play, the whole world hit the dance floor. Glitter jumpsuits optional. 9 #1 hits on the UK singles chart and over 20 worldwide. In the US, just 1. Wow, Dancing Queen. But globally, they were unstoppable. And let's just talk about Dancing Queen. It's not just a song, it's a time machine. One note and you're back at a wedding, a school dance, or just dancing in your kitchen with a hairbrush mic.
You are the dancing queen, young and sweet. Oh.
Then came Mamma Mia, Fernando, Take a Chance on Me. Everyone a glitter-wrapped, heart-tugging masterpiece, but my favorite is The Winner Takes It All. Agnetha and Anna Fried's voice, pure magic. Benny and Bjorn's songwriting, catchy, yes, but layered with heartbreak, longing, even joy.
That night, the stars were bright, Fernando.
Simply put, they made sadness danceable. That's why these songs still hit. And here's the kicker, they turned down touring America at their peak. Agnetha hated flying and they weren't sure the US was ready. Joke's on us, we're still butchering the harmonies in traffic. Later on, their songs became the soul of Mamma Mia, a global smash on stage and screen. New generation, same obsession. ABBA didn't just make pop songs, they made emotional anthems you could dance to, and somehow they still sparkled just as bright.
Now I really know, my, I could never let you.
Number 8, Queen. They were bombastic, theatrical, and utterly irresistible. Queen didn't just perform songs, they performed moments. With 6 #1 hits on the UK singles chart and a staggering 13 #1s globally when you include countries like Canada, Australia, and across Europe. Queen's influence extended far beyond what any one chart could capture. Their Hot 100 presence in the US was more limited, just 2 #1s technically, but those global peaks reflect the band's real reign. As genre-busting legends who made rock both brainy and fun. Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't just a hit, it was a 6-minute opera smuggled into a rock anthem. Everyone said it would never work. Everyone was wrong.
If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on.
Then came We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, 2 stadium-shaking behemoths that turned sports events into sacred rituals. Another one bites the dust, that proved they could get funky. And Radio Gaga was so ahead of its time that it inspired Lady Gaga's entire stage name. Freddie Mercury's voice, pure power, wrapped in drama, dipped in soul.
Banner all over the place, take it.
Brian May's guitar tone was instantly recognizable, like an old friend shouting your name across a noisy bar. And here's a stunner, Queen performed one of the most legendary live sets of all time at 1985's Live Aid, and they did it in just 20 minutes. That performance is still studied, it's mimicked, and it's rewatched as the gold standard of what a rock band can do when it has nothing to prove and everything to give. Queen didn't chase trends, they created spectacles. Number 9, U2. Only 2 number 1 hits on the US Billboard Hot 100, With or Without You, and I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But U2 was never about the numbers, except the numeral 2. They were more about the message. In Ireland, they hold the all-time record, 21 number 1 singles, hometown heroes, global voices. Cause they turned politics into poetry. The Edge's delay-drenched guitar, Bono's searching vocals, no one else sounded like this. Where the streets have no name, it felt like an escape. Sunday Bloody Sunday turned protest into prayer. And fun fact, they signed their first record deal on the hood of a car. And what's incredible is it's the same 4 guys since 1976. No swaps, no breakups, just music, purpose, and loyalty. Yeah, they've been called preachy, but they've also been called prophets. Either way, their songs made you feel like there was something worth believing in. Number 10, Madonna. Before reinvention became a marketing strategy, Madonna made it an art form. With 12 number 1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, she holds the crown as the most successful female solo artist in pop chart history. Now, depending on the list, you'll see higher numbers if you include dance chart toppers. She has more than 50 of those, but we're focusing here on her Hot 100 reign. These are the singles that didn't just chart, they defined decades, dominated MTV, and changed pop music forever. Like a Virgin was controversial, but it was also so catchy, and it catapulted her into superstardom. Papa Don't Preach? Well, that turned tabloid frenzy into empowerment. In Vogue, well, that turned a New York subculture into a global phenomenon, complete with its own choreography. Madonna didn't just reflect pop culture, she shaped it, she bent it, and sometimes outright shocked it into submission. She made statements through sound, fashion, and fearlessness. One day she was Marilyn Monroe, and the next a spiritual mystic. Then a dominatrix in designer heels. But through it all, she kept making hits that stuck in your brain and pushed every boundary they could find. And here's something wild. Madonna is the only artist to have a number 1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. That's 3 different generations dancing to the same woman's music. Number 11, Michael Jackson. If pop music had royalty, Michael Jackson was the king, and he wore the crown with one glittering glove. With 13 number 1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, Michael wasn't just popular, he was unavoidable. His count climbs even higher internationally, with chart toppers all over Europe, Asia, and way beyond, but those 13 US number 1s alone tell the story of a singular career. These weren't just successful singles, they were cultural events frozen in time. The premiere of a new MJ song felt like the world holding its breath and then dancing for a month straight. Billie Jean had a bass line that still stalks dance floors. Beat It paired rock aggression with pop perfection, featuring Eddie Van Halen no less, as we've already stated. Man in the Mirror turned introspection into an anthem. And then there's Thriller, which somehow made horror delightful and Halloween a lifelong commitment. MJ's vocals could be urgent, angelic, or razor sharp, and his performances, well, no one's ever combined dance, fashion, and emotional power like he did. He turned music videos into cinematic events. He made stadiums feel intimate, and intimate moments feel like stadium-worthy experiences. Here's a stat to chew on. Bad spawned 5 number 1 singles, tying a record once thought unbreakable. 5 number 1s from one album. And despite all the mystery, the controversy, and speculation that followed him, one thing is clear. Michael Jackson redefined what pop stardom could look like, could sound like, and what it could feel like. Number 12, the Beatles. They came from Liverpool with mop tops and matching suits, and they left with 20 number 1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, more than any artist in US chart history. And some tallies put them even higher globally, with dozens of chart toppers across countries like the UK, Australia, and Germany. But those 20 US number 1s, they're a record that's probably never gonna be broken. These weren't just songs, they were moments that helped shape modern music, pop culture, and our lives. She Loves You made Yeah 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 a battle cry. I Wanna Hold Your Hand launched Beatlemania into orbit. And Hey Jude stretched the idea of what a single could be. 7 minutes, a massive chorus, and a whole lot of heart. Then there's Let It Be, Yesterday, Come Together. The list reads like a blueprint for every great band that came after. They went from innocent pop to psychedelic explorers to philosophic poets in under a decade, and the entire world followed. We rewound it and we replayed every step. And here's a true mind bender. In 1964, the Beatles held the entire top 5 spots on the Billboard Hot 100. Now that's not domination, it's a total cultural takeover. Their influence is so deeply woven into the DNA of music that even artists who don't realize it are standing on their shoulders. They didn't just break records, they became the standard by what records are measured. And no matter how many years pass, no matter how technology changes the charts, one thing remains true. There was music before the Beatles, and then there was everything else. Alright, that was a ton of fun. Going back to when music came on vinyl, cassettes, or MTV at exactly the right moment. A number 1 hit meant something. It wasn't about algorithms, it was about emotion, timing, and a hook that could stop you in your tracks. These artists didn't just chase the top, they changed what the top sounded like. Some conquered the world one heartbreak ballad at a time, others made us dance, cry, or drive a little too fast. But all of them left their fingerprints on pop culture that might never fade. And whether you first heard these songs on a jukebox, a Walkman, or your parents' record player, one thing's for sure. Music back then didn't just play, it stayed. So, thank you so much for staying till the end of this video. Which number 1 hit machine was your favorite that I included? Did I forget a band that had a slew of number 1s that maybe I overlooked? Have you seen any of these hitmakers in concert? What was it like? Get down in the comment section and tell us your stories. Because after all, we here at Do You Remember are nothing without you. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that little thumbs up icon if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a memory or a song. But most importantly, from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful, one-of-a-kind day.